and the 2.2 cash, obviously.
Ooh.
I think we netted $1.1 million. Yeah.
When you're investing out of state, one of the biggest problems that I had was finding a contractor that you can trust. How do you go about doing that? In this episode, I'm going to interview a general contractor who actually has helped me burr one of my properties in Columbus, Ohio. He's going to break down how you can find a contractor, overview some of his projects, and even talk about $1 million flip that he did in Columbus, Ohio. That's all coming up next. Well, Esteban, thanks so much for jumping on the show with me today.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
So real quick, for the audience, tell me, what do you do today? And then what is your origin story?
Yeah. So today, I guess I am a general contractor, first and foremost, real estate developer, flipper, wholesale only when it falls on my lap. Definitely don't go out or claim to be a wholesaler, but I do wholesale some deals. And then property management, both short term and long term. So, and then obviously we hold rentals. That's kind of I don't know how to put that into one title. I would just say anything to do with real estate is really what I am. And then I guess origin story. I mean, how far do you want to go back? I was born in 1992. Or do you mean just kind of in the professional field?
I mean, maybe a little of both. I mean, you're in Columbus right now, and I know
Yeah.
you because obviously you GC'd one of our Burr projects.
Yeah.
But are you from Columbus?
No. So yeah, I was born in Colombia, South America. We immigrated to the States in 1999, went to a small town called Richwood, Ohio. It is very rural, about two, maybe three stoplights type of town, very Midwestern country, and then moved to Delaware, Ohio, which is a suburb of Columbus. When I was in eighth grade is when we made that transition. From there, went to college in Akron, went to college at Ohio State, Franklin University, Columbus State. I dropped out of every single one. And I was a waiter for about 6 years at an Italian restaurant. From there, I, decided to give my mom's company another try because I was on again, off again with her. Obviously, your parents, they're quite forgiving and they let you come and go as you please. So started helping her out with the construction in 2019 is when I kind of jumped on like full go in my head, in my heart, in my soul that I was going to like dedicate at least a year to, give it a true shot. And that's really where the whole real estate aspect kind of came into my life. So in 2019 is really when I started. About a year, maybe a year and a half later, I took over the company as kind of like, I call it managing partner. And then from there, we scaled, when I took over, it was about $500,000 a year that we were revenue. In 10 months, I brought that up to about 5 million. So, just kind of went for it, went all in. And here we are about 2019, 20, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, about 4 or 5 years later, I guess, from when I took over was where we're here today.
Oh man, so now I have some fun little spin-offs that I want to do.
Yeah.
Obviously going from 500K in revenue to 5 million in revenue in 10 months. That's no joke.
Yeah.
Like, what was the catalyst to make that happen?
Complete honesty here, I would break it down to 3 different things. True belief in myself and like self-love. Second, finding a fantastic mentor, which I'm very lucky to have found him. And third, networking. So with those three, that three combo right there, that's really what exploded. One, because I was believing in myself, because I love myself. I started doing things for me and like truly like having passion for things and like waking up early and like it wasn't just aimlessly living day to day. Vegging out is what my dad used to call it. I would literally sit in front of the TV until it was time to go to work at the restaurant job. And, I wasn't concerned about making money. It was just making enough to pay my rent, pay my costs, and that's it. I didn't really have any goals because when I was younger, my true goal was to be a professional soccer player. When that, dream kind of went away, I was kind of just like, yeah, whatever. Right. So I didn't really have a passion. So yeah, I mean, that's really where it all started was like that almost that burning passion that I had as a younger kid to play soccer, but into what I was currently doing, which was, construction and real estate. I wasn't out there swinging hammers. I did do that a little bit. I did a lot of demos. Not a lot. I did like two or three, and then I was like, this is not what I want to do. Let me figure out how to put someone else to do this, and then make a little, cut. And then finding the mentor, I stumbled upon him after my first flip because I went to buy my second flip, and my first flip's closing got moved. And the buy of the second one was not going to be able to be moved. So I was going to lose money if I didn't figure out how to make $60,000 in like 3 days. So I literally went well, here's the little backstory to that. The reason that is because we got that house off of a share sale. It was the wild wild west back in 2020, right? 2019, 2020, something like that. And we started working on these houses before we actually owned them because we wanted to save time in renovation. So we had access to it, and we started working. So I was about 25K into it. But then when they moved that closing, I no longer had the money to put down for the buy. So I was scrambling, and my mom looked at each other like, what are we going to do? Yeah. And we try to get it moved. They're like, no, if you don't buy it, you don't buy it. Like, we'll just go to the second person. Cause back in the day, everybody was, buying deals. So I literally went one by one in my phone book and just started calling everyone in my phone book saying, listen, I do have 3 free and clear houses. I'd like to pawn. I was calling it pawning my houses versus, mortgaging or
Yeah.
whatever, leveraging them. So I started calling everyone in my phone book, and I got to the M's. His name was Jesse McKenzie. And he said, listen, I can't help you, but I know someone that might. And so he gave me my current mentor. His name's Austin Rutherford. He gave me his phone number. I called him. He's like, yeah, man, come to the office. Let's chat. You got 3 free and clear houses. You want 60 grand, for a deal? Like, let's look at it. So I go to his office. I meet him. Great dude. He was like a year younger than me. And he agreed to it, gave us the money, and we were able to close on those deals. So we were buying 2 flips. That's what it was. We were buying 2 flips with that first flip's proceeds. And, it wasn't going to work. So he gave us the money. We ended up making 80 grand for the pair of them, and the rest is history. Once I was like, who is this guy? Because back then 60K was a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like it's a crap ton of money. So who's this guy that just was able to lend me in, 2 days, the 60 grand out of nowhere? Like I need to know more. So I started hounding him like, hey man, I would really like to learn more. He's like, hey, I don't really do the mentorship thing. It was before he was doing the mentoring thing. And after enough follow-up, I'd say about 4 or 5 months later, he was like, hey, you know what? I'm actually going to start doing mentoring. And so it was me and 3 other guys in this group, and he became our mentor. And from there, I just, my eyes were open, the light came in, and I started learning, about the business, about what wholesaling was, how to properly flip, how to do these things. Because I come from a contracting background. So I don't know financing. I don't know deal flow. I don't know marketing. I don't know any of that at the time, right? So as I'm learning, I'm just applying it into my business. Then the wave of masterminds and the wave of mentorships and all these programs back in the day when everybody was like, newer to it, I started going to every networking event I could here in Columbus. I went to Austin's things. I went to other people's things all over the country and just started meeting all these people from Columbus. And what I realized, everybody had the same gap, which was contracting. Everybody else had deal flow. Everybody else had marketing. Everybody else had the finances all lined up. But what they couldn't find was a contractor that was genuine, that was going to do what they said that they were going to do, and was going to be, good. So since I was one in a room of 100 hungry investors with 0 other contractors, I got all their business. So I went from doing maybe 2 to 3 houses at a time to doing 20, 30. And then my highest I ever did was 60 houses at the same time. 60 different projects is how much work I had at the same time. And that's really when it took off. I mean, it was a little chaotic. It was crazy, but that's really what like shot up the 500,000 to 5 million. It was because I was just getting deals all the time, right? So,
all right. So give me some Spitfire context right now. because that is a lot, and just so that the audience knows what you're
Sure.
doing today, how many construction projects are you doing at one given time right now?
I think I'm at like 28, maybe
Okay.
30. Hmm.
And then your rental portfolio, what's that look like?
We have about 17 units in my mother and I's
Yep.
portfolio, which she's like my business partner now. And then I have other business partners where we have, stabilized just a couple, but
Mhm.
under construction, new construction, we've got 10 total units on that side as well.
Okay. And then how many
Um,
flips have you done?
oh shit. I would say at least 100, at least.
Wow, that's a
Yeah.
lot for how many?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So over the course of, since we started, of course. And then what else? And then now we're doing the development deals. So that's the big stuff.
Okay,
And
so I mean, I wanna ask one more specific question about that Austin conversation,
yeah.
is how do you go from having one project and needing someone to save you for another project, and how like, what did you say to actually convince Austin to give you 60 grand? Because that's not an easy conversation for someone who's just starting out.
I mean, looking back, it was a no-brainer on his end. If I messed up, he got because I leveraged all three of my free and clear houses that we owned at the time. Because my mom had bought these houses back when houses were 7 grand.
Okay,
So we had equity, and at the time they were worth like 150. So we owned
okay,
them free and clear, three of them, 150. That's $450,000 of
yep,
free and clear property, and I was asking for 60 plus the project I had that we were using the money for. It was a good, the numbers worked.
yeah,
So when he analyzed it at the end of the day, if I messed up, this random person, he got three free and clear houses. You know what I mean? He could foreclose on every single one of them. It was a no brainer for him. So looking back, to me, I was like, wow, why would he do this or how could he do this? He just ran the numbers, right? 60 grand
mhm,
worth 450 all day.
okay. Alright, well, I mean, I'm glad you had a way to secure that for him. I mean, one of the reasons why I really wanted to bring you onto the show was because I love the content that you're making about contracting.
Yeah.
That is I mean, like, now, right, from your networking days, if you were the only contractor in the room, there's still not many contractors who are making that content. I'm sure you've gotten lots of good hits from it.
Yeah.
It like, I don't know, why so your family has a background as a general contractor, right?
Hmm.
And that's where you got into that.
Right.
If someone's looking today to get started and you're saying, "Hey, you can go to college or you can," which I think you've made a few videos now, "or you can go ahead and be in the trades." Why are you saying go to the trades?
Oh man, this is a lot. So first and foremost, I if you want to go to college, go to college. That's definitely like I'm all about free will and whatever you want to do, go do it. What I don't like is the way society and the high schools push you to go to college when you're not ready. A lot of these kids are 17, 18 years old, which at 18 you're an adult, but no, you're not. I barely feel like an adult and I'm 30, right? Like you don't really start being an adult till I'd say maybe 25 is when that life moment happens when you're like, shoot, I'm adulting now, right? So to push someone to get into call it 50 to $100,000 worth of debt where their ROI is very minimal at the end of it and they're going to be paying it off for the rest of their life, to me, it makes no sense. Now, again, little asterisk here. You want to be a doctor? You need it. You want to be an
Mhm.
engineer? You need it. You want to be a lawyer? You need it. Go for it, right? You're still going to have student debt, but at the end of the day, there is better ROI because you're going to be making more income. But a lot of these people that are getting these random degrees that are not in those three categories, and again, not
That's tough.
saying that you can't make it right with a marketing degree. I'm not saying you can't make it with an arts degree, but the jobs out there are so little and they pay so little that you're going to be in debt forever, right? So the alternative now that we've realized, and it's not just me, I think everyone's kind of opening up their eyes to it,
Mhm.
is go to trade school. Most There's a lot of companies out there that will pay for your trade school. So you're getting paid to learn, right? You're not going to have debt. And guess what? You're going to be starting out instead of 35 to 40 grand, like here in Columbus. I'm sure in Cali's a little bit higher because your guys' cost of living is higher. But here, right out of college, you're making 35, maybe 40 grand on an entry level degree earned job, right? In the trades, you're looking at 70 grand and
Mm.
quickly go up to 100. I mean, they are paying very, very well, and you get out with no debt. You get bonuses, you get all this, and it's a 2-year thing. You know what I mean? So to me, it's like if you don't know what you're doing, why get into this debt if you don't know what you want to do, just to have the college experience? And that's what they sell you. Oh, college is the best time of your life. And it is. You get to party, get to have fun. But you shouldn't have to be paying 100 grand for it. You know what I mean? Like
Totally.
that's not what it's about. So yeah, I push people to, if you don't know what you want, give trades a shot. Because
Okay.
at the end of the day, you're going to be making money while you learn. And if you don't like it, you can pivot. But why go get yourself in 100 grand worth of debt?
I mean,
So
I agree. And I used to be an academic counselor, an academic advisor at the
wow,
University of Hawaii.
that's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I love Hawaii. It's my favorite place in the world.
Yeah. I mean, I lived there for 7 years. We had a blast. Both my wife and I were working at the university. Like we were full in this higher education thing.
Yeah.
And, we had master's degrees making $40,000 a year.
Right.
No money.
How is that fair?
It was ridiculous. And I was like, well, I can't even afford to pay our student loans. Why do we even do, like, why?
Right. Right.
So,
And again, if that's what you want to do, more power to you. Like, hoorah. We do need people like that. But I don't think it should be what the high schools are pushing, what the society is pushing, because all you're doing is you're making these universities filthy rich,
yeah,
and you're not really getting out what you're putting in.
agreed. All right. So, next question now. Say someone's considering going to trades. How are you picking a specialty? I love your content because it's my HVAC guy makes this and it's like this. Your demo guy makes this. Where do you start?
So me, one of the after I started back in the business, I did go back to plumbing school. My mentality was, let me learn all the trades so that I can go get all these licenses and do all this and do all that. So I went into plumbing. I liked it. It was cool working with my hands. I mean, you can make 100,000. I don't think you can miss. It's whatever you want to do. If electric interests you, go learn about it. If framing interests you, go learn about it. But where do you start? Whatever interests you the most of construction. Because in construction, there's so many different, right? You got your window guys, your doors, trim guys, carpenters, whatever. Pick one. Pick one, try it out. And like I said, because it's not 100 grand to learn it, and you probably can get paid to learn it, you can't really miss.
Okay.
So do whatever interests you the most.
Okay. Fair enough. And the last question I have on the actual active trade side, what's the most money you ever made from a construction job?
So it's tough to answer that question, and the reason it's tough is because the way I've ran my business and the way that I've been able to leverage my profession, I've been able to get equity pieces in projects as the contractor. So as a partner that was responsible for the construction at cost, I made $180,000 on one project with zero risk, which was pretty rad.
Okay.
The most I've ever made without having equity and it just as a project, probably like 40, 50 grand on like a random kitchen in a high worth area, which is still pretty rad. It's
Yeah.
like a flip. And again, zero risk on a kitchen that took us 2 months. So yeah, it's pretty nice.
Okay. So trades are cool. And now let's pivot into the investor mindset.
Yes.
Because that's, what a audience want, or a lot of what the audience looks for is, I think the hardest people to find on your team are contractors and property managers. And those are everything, right? One is basically managing your property until it gets ready to be handed off and put a tenant inside of there.
Right.
Like brand new investor.
Yeah.
How does a investor pick out a good contractor from a bad contractor?
Oh man, there's a ton of things you can do to find red flags, right? First and foremost, get references. Get references of past clients. Ask for pictures. If you're, I guess, an out-of-stater like yourself, it's a little bit tougher because you can't go physically look at the jobs. If you're in-state or local, ask them to take you to their active projects. You know what I mean? Go see if they're the real deal. Go see how they're doing their job and how organized the site is. And it'll be pretty easy to pick up the good ones from the bad ones.
Okay.
Another quick little red flag is asking for more than 50% upfront. Shoot, I mean, for the first time dealing with someone, so when I started networking and doing, taking my company up, I was actually not asking for any money up front. I was actually doing 20, 30% of the job before I'd even ask for my first draw. My mentality was, you as the client have nothing to lose. If you don't like what I'm doing, you don't pay me. Obviously they knew I could put liens on it. I didn't, at the time. So to me, it was like, I'd rather you owe me than I owe you. Because if I take a draw at the beginning, you're going to be on my ass making sure that that money's being put to use, versus the other way around. you know, you really can't say anything to me because I'm doing work for basically free until I get paid that, right?
Yeah.
But I quickly ran into cash flow issues after those 60 projects. And I realized at the time, I was like, oh no, I need draws. Like that's not business wise to open the doors to get started. Sure. It's a good strategy to get more clientele, but yeah, I would just try to shy away from anybody that's asking you for more than 50%. I typically take about a 30 to 35% draw depending on the size of the project to
Okay.
get started.
That's fair. And then what about, I know in bigger pockets, they always say, all right, here's the contract that you make with your contractor, right? Is, hey, what's the reasonable expectation of this job? Add more time frame on it. If you finish early, there could be a bonus. If not, there's a penalty. What are your thoughts on that as a contractor yourself?
As a contractor, I get it. I get why people would want contracts. I do get a lot of calls from new
Mm-hmm.
investors that want to try to invest here and yada yada. And I say this: talk to my people, talk to people that have done jobs with me. If you want a contract, we could write one up. On these 28 projects, right now I have zero contracts with any of the people, but that's because we've done jobs together. I
Hmm.
do. Oh wait, no, I'm lying. I have one contract, and that's because it's the first job I've ever done for this out of state investor. So to get people comfortable, hey, we'll write up a contract, just so you're protected, I'm protected. But after the first one, again, should never say never, but I very rarely have an issue of, hey, we got to take this to court. Hey, we got to do, you're not doing your job or I'm not doing my job. It's been I've been very blessed to deal with the people that I've dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I, I, I hate to say that because that's not logical to not have a contract, but I've been able to position myself with people that I trust, that trust me, and I deliver. I plan on
Mm-hmm.
delivering. I do jobs, even if I lose money, I will finish your job. I mean,
Yeah.
I've lost 10 to 20,000 on different jobs just because I said I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it.
Okay. I mean, fair enough. It sounds like you're open to it, but that's not the only way, right? Obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So the next question now is, again, working with, whether it be in any type of investor, to be out of state or local to the area. If someone's looking at a house and they say, hey, Esteban, can your team walk this? What are the red flags that you're like, hell no, don't touch that with a 10-foot pole?
Repeat it. It fogged out for a second.
Okay. So the question is, whether your investor is out of state or local, what are the red flags that someone's asking you or your team to walk a property? What are the red flags you're like, don't touch this at all, ever?
Oh, like giving advice to the investor, like don't buy this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shoot. Oh man, there's many. We'll start with well, it depends because if the price is super cheap too, like in the rooms there, right? What I don't like is when people cover up things that aren't finished, like basements. If you're covering up the basement ceiling, but your basement isn't finished, you're hiding something. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So I usually tell the investors, like, I'm not Superman. I can't see through walls. It's a little weird, right? It's not always that way.
Yeah.
Some people just cover them, but if the foundation is really messed up, not I-beam fixable, but like
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying cave in, run. If the MEPs, the electrical panel is upgraded, but all of a sudden you peek in the attic and there's knob and tube and they're saying they ran all new electric, I run. If the furnace is a dinosaur or they've got radiator in there still, I'd like to run. And then me specifically, I don't really love well and I don't love septic. If a property's on well or septic, I'd rather just not touch it because you don't know how old it is, how maintained it is, and it can be dicey.
Yeah. And then you just, is this one gonna hit or not? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, you're screwed. You're screwed. So anytime anyone sends me to like a property with a well and septic, I'm like, if I were you, I would run.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started. It sounds like obviously being a general contractor for other people's projects, when did the investing start into place? When did you say, all right, cool, I want to start holding on to these now?
Early on, as soon as I took over and I got the mentor, his whole thing is wealth is through ownership, right? So very early on, I decided, okay, my value add is the contracting piece, but let
Hmm.
me divert these profits and go invest because I know that I need cash flow. I know that as a contractor, yes, I have no risk, but I also got zero upside. Right? I'm not making money as people are living there. I'm not making money on appreciation. I don't have the same type of write-offs. So as I'm learning this from my mentor, I'm starting to buy more houses and I'm starting to flip houses as well. So I do a little bit of both because it kind of manages my risk too, right?
Yeah.
When things are bad, when I need money, because this happens to everybody, I open up the doors and I say, I'm ready for more jobs. And people come and give me jobs, right? On the investor side, if the deals are kind of drying up and kind of what's happening now, the deals are kind of, it's a little bit harder to find deals these
Hmm.
days, right? Where else are you getting income? Right. So for me, I'm able to contract and keep that, revenue coming in, which is good. Um, but yeah, so I would say it was early on, but I'm definitely known more as a contractor, but I still do investing. I still partner with other people to flip houses, hold
Mm.
rentals, all those things.
Give me, let us go rapid fire deals.
Mhm.
Let's start with your favorite deal of all time.
My favorite deal of all time was this. I call it a mansion. It's probably not a mansion out where you live, but it was a mansion here in Canal, Winchester, Ohio, suburb of Columbus. We bought the house for $280,000. We
Okay.
put $500,000 into it.
Okay.
We listed it for 1.5, and it
Hmm.
sold for $2.2 million.
You got $700,000 over asking.
Yeah.
How did you get that?
When Bitcoin was at like 69,000,
Yeah.
didn't hit 70, we timed the market perfectly on accident because we
Yeah.
were hella delayed, but it was literally like right when interest rates were, 2%, right before they started ripping up, right before the market started tanking a little bit. It was just the top of the candle, if you will.
Man.
And it wasn't the only offer. We had two offers actually going higher than that, up to 2.5 million with escalations. And we just took those two buyers and we said we had 30 offers, like 50 showings. It was wild. And we just took the top two and we said, just give us your highest and best. It's between you two. And the 2.2 cash obviously won.
Whew.
Yeah. So I think we netted $1.1 million. Yeah. It was wild. And
Okay.
and mind you, when we ran the numbers, we were gonna only put 200K into it, and we only thought that the house was worth $800,000. No one house in that neighborhood had sold over $1 million until ours, and then ours sold for 2.2. It was literally a unicorn. It was luck. It was everything you want to call it. But that was probably my best deal and my favorite deal of all time because we literally made seven figures on that deal.
Yeah, that is awesome.
It was wild. It was wild.
Okay,
How
flip
about my
side.
past partners? Yeah.
Give me a battle scar now.
In real estate or in life in general?
Let's go
I'll give
real
you both.
estate first.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
give you
sure. Give me
both.
both. Give me both.
I'll give you both. My battle scar, actually, it's kind of like very it's still
Still
it's still
fresh.
going on. It's still a little fresh.
Okay.
So I got into when I was trying to grow the company, my very first self sought out job was through Build Zoom is what it's called. It's basically the Tinder of contractors and
Yeah.
homeowners. And
Yeah.
I got this guy that had a VA grant, so a Veterans Affairs grant to make his home ADA compliant. And the grant was for about $81,000. I ran the numbers. I think my cost was about $80,000, but I wanted to open the door into that VA world because I thought, hey, man, government always pays, right? And I'm figuring out ways to make more money. I mean, I'm passionate about what I'm doing. So it's my first job that I go and get. Well, it went south when we were about 95, right before Punch, and went south because the veterans wife not found out. I mean, she realized that the flooring that we gave her wasn't solid hardwood. It was LVP, right? Which, mind you, with the VA, every material had to be noted. Every single one of the finishes, everything was signed off on by both parties. I mean, talk about contracts. This thing was tight. I mean, it was very, 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 very exactly step by step on how this thing was going to go down. So again, she loved the floors when they were installed, but the moment she saw the box and saw that it wasn't hardwood flooring, she started to freak out. Long story short, man, we ended up in a legal battle, huge legal battle. They sued us. They lost. They appealed. They lost. We went on the offensive, sued them. They lost. We won. They appealed, appealed, appealed. They tried to appeal to the Supreme Court. Finally, they gave up and they finally took it. But right before they had to write the check, guess what they did? They're trying to file for bankruptcy just to not pay us after the judge awarded us finally the win. So I just recently received the funds from the VA that were held in escrow. It wasn't even their money. It wasn't even their money. That's what's like mind blowing to me. But the reason it was the biggest scar is because at the time we were growing, my mom came and bailed me out because again, we put all this money into it and it was in a draw system where basically 20% was retained to the very end. You'd have to get jobs done, get part of the job done, then get refunded. Long story short, we had to sell 2 of our properties, the ones that I had leveraged with Austin before that were free and clear. I had to sell 2 of them to pay employees and to keep the cash flow because of that whole thing. So I lost properties that are today worth $225,000.
Over a $80,000 job, man.
Over an $80,000 job. So that's my biggest battle scar right now.
And
On
that's
the
been years.
yeah, it's been years. Like I literally just got the $28,000 pay. It was since 2018. That's literally, and I literally just got the check from it on this past Friday for $28,000 that I have to give most of it to the attorney. So big big
Okay.
L. Yeah. On the non-real estate, just life, obviously, as real estate's a stepping stone, right? For me, construction is a stepping stone. It's all a stepping stone to just a better quality of life, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
After my first huge year in real estate construction, I invested about $300,000 into a crypto fund that turned out to be a Ponzi scheme. And I lost $300,000 of hard-earned money on nothing, on just a lie. So real estate wise, the veterans, life wise, my biggest L has been losing 300 grand to the crypto swindler. So,
Man,
yeah.
ouch.
Ouch is right.
Yeah, that one. A lot of
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, from those lessons learned, and your experience, I want to ask a couple more questions in terms of adding value to some investors. You've got, an out of state investor, which I think is, I'm sure you probably get a lot of phone calls. How can we, as out of state investors, find a contractor? Like, what would you do if you were in our shoes?
I would do what you do, man, what you did, which is find, local people that are reputable and get, referrals from them and then interview them, work with them and, slowly work your way up. It's a lot harder for you guys. It really is because again, you're blind. You can get pictures that look great and then all of a sudden someone goes live and like, this is not what it seems. So you can't constantly be checking up on things unless you're flying back and forth. So to find good contractors, I would say join the local networking groups on Facebook. Try to at least fly out here at least once. Talk to the people that you can tell are doing the thing because there's a lot of fake people out here. It's
Mhm.
very tough both on the investors and contracting side. Once the tide goes, you see who's swimming naked. A lot of that's been happening lately. But yeah, find the people that are like legitimate and ask them for references, ask them for referrals. And people, at least here in Columbus, are very willing to help. And a lot of people don't gatekeep, in my opinion. A lot of people are willing to like share their contacts, share their Rolodex. But again, it all comes down to just calling the references, making sure that they've got jobs under their belt, seeing their type of quality, ask for those Zillow links for past flips that they've been a part of, and just kind of look at the work and see what's going on. That would be the best way. It's tough for you guys. I'm not gonna lie. It's not easy. It's not easy because a lot of people can say pretty things, take your money, and then you're screwed.
Yeah. No, I mean, to add context to the conversation, to fill in that gap there, the reason why I got connected with you is with a hard money lender who's no longer a hard money lender, which is Nick Eiffel. And because I've done a couple loans with him already, and I was like, man, I want to do this project, but my current contractor won't do this one. Do you know anyone else? That's how we got connected. And so it's just finding whatever different way that you can add value to somebody else. In this case, obviously, he's made some commission off me.
Right.
Probably at that point wanted to keep my business.
Right.
And so he's only going to send hopefully someone that would continue that, because obviously if it went south, that's not a good reflection on him as well. So
Right. 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 And we got that deal done.
did
You still own that deal.
I did, yeah, and that also hit more than we hit higher than the appraisal we wanted. So thank you.
Perfect. There we go.
Okay, last questions for you. The final round is this one's a little bit different.
Okay.
I want you to tell me what is the most memorable drink you've ever had? What was it, and who was it with, and why was it so memorable?
Man, that is way left field. I love
Mhm.
it. Um, the first thing that popped, I'm just going to go with the first thing that popped in my
Yeah.
mind versus reading too much into what you're referring to. But it was just like a juice. It's called Jugo de Lulo, and it's a exotic fruit. It's from South America. I didn't know what it was. I drank it. It was delicious, and it's burned into my memory. And every time I go back to Colombia, that's the first thing I go to is drinking that juice. It's not even an alcoholic drink,
Yeah.
but it was just memorable because it was something I've never tasted before, and I don't know how I went 27 years without ever tasting something like that. So that's the first answer that came to mind.
I like it. It was a taste of home.
Yes. Yeah.
So
It's a taste
that's
of
fair.
home. Yeah. That's
Okay.
a that's an interesting question there, Josh.
I've had some interesting answers between someone who is like, well, we were fasting in the desert and someone literally gave us water 36 hours later. Like I could have died. I was like, oh yeah, that would do it for me too. You
Yeah,
know?
that's pretty memorable.
So you never know. Okay, so my question for you is, what are you working on right now? And is there anything that you need help with?
What I am working on right now is some very large scale developments. I've got one in Newark, Ohio, and one in New Albany, Ohio, and they're both 108 units. Ironically enough, they're both on Main Street in their respective towns, so that's pretty cool. Um, One of them, Newark, Ohio, is maybe 20 minutes from the new Intel plant here. That's super crazy, and billions of dollars are going to. And then the other one is in New Albany, Ohio, which is 5 minutes from the Intel plant. And we acquired both these pieces of property before Intel announced. So that was pretty rad. But those are like the biggest ones. I mean, they're, one of them is going to be $30 million. The other one's $35 million when it's all said and done. But those are some generational legacy things that I'm working currently on that, from my humble roots as a demolition contractor to investing. And this is kind of where I'm at now, where we're doing this long haul ground up development work. So what I would love help with is finding some LP money, some limited partnership money that can invest into this deal alongside us, and obviously, make this happen. The issue I'm running into is current economic times are making these interest rates wild. I'm
Yeah.
talking, 8.5%. And the LTVs back in the day, you could get 80, 85.
Mm-hmm.
They're now giving out 60. So we
Mm-hmm.
went from needing $5.5 million to needing almost $10 million to make these things work. So I guess what I could use help with is getting these interest rates down. Can you help with that?
I don't know if I can help with the interest rates, but depending on how much capital you need to raise, we should talk
Um,
later.
yeah, no, we'll chat. But yeah, the interest rates, obviously that's nothing I can do about it, nothing you can do about it, or pretty much unless you're Jerome Powell. But I don't know how connected you are, Josh. If you know him, let him know. Just bring them down for like a month while they give us the loan.
After this
Um,
podcast, let it go viral. We'll have some pull, right?
there it is. There it is. But no, I mean, a lot of developers are shelving projects right now because of what it is, and it's a
Hmm.
cycle, and it will come down. But it just sucks because we have permits in hand. I mean, we've done all the development part. We're ready to start digging. So
So you already purchased this too, right? It's
yeah,
you're ready for the next phase.
we're ready. We're ready to capitalize it. We're ready for a loan to close, which means we need to bring LP capital too. We've
Yeah.
got equity, to obviously give as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, just bring LP capital to the table to close a loan and get this thing rocking. So that's, I guess, my biggest ask would be anytime
Okay.
anyone asks what I need people willing to be LP partners.
Okay. Well, if you're listening to this, whether it be now, which it is November of 2023, or in the future, I'm sure this won't be the last deal either. So definitely connect
Absolutely.
with Esteban if you want to work on some deals in Columbus.
Yeah.
Um, Actually, I want to squeeze another question.
Yeah.
You've been posting a lot lately, like the best contracting stuff I've seen, and like they're all good, like just gems. What has been some of the results from posting?
I've A lot. A lot. Let me give you a couple. So, and a little backstory with that too. I didn't love content. I wasn't huge on it, but it's something my mentor kind of pushed me into. He said, "You're not going to regret it. You don't do it for the likes. Don't do it for any of that shit. Just do it to grow. And one
Mhm.
day you'll see the power of it." I mean, he makes close to 7 figures a year because of his social media. So, reluctantly, I hired a crew. I started doing, and the first couple months, I'm not getting any likes. I'm not really getting that many follows. And I remember it's not about that. It's whatever. Just keep going, keep being consistent. And then out of nowhere, a football player at Ohio State hit me up from Instagram. Well, I don't know if you know, they just passed the NIL, which is name, image, likeness, and now they can make money. So this dude, super successful player. I'm not gonna say who it is, but I mean, some people that follow me might know who it is. But super high profile, made 7 figures already as NIL, and he wanted to start investing in real estate. And because of my social media presence, he reached out to me. He reached out to other local guys, met up with all of us, and we ended up doing a couple deals together. So just that, and he's lent to me as well on deals. So just that connection alone has essentially paid for my social media, like all my investment, because obviously I pay for videographer, editor. It's not cheap. It's not free.
Mhm.
So the ROI after the first couple of months, you're like, is this really where I want to be putting in funds? But that's just one example. I've had tons of people reach out to me that want to lend me money, that want to send me deals. So it's just having that presence
Yeah.
that helps people be able to trust you and want to work with you. And that's really what social media has really done for me. And that's why I post. And I've kind of changed my niche around. I've done construction. I still throw some construction stuff because that's my bread and butter and that's what I know the most. I've tried some investing stuff. I tried some developer stuff. And, you know, right now I'm going through a period in my life where since I'm not truly monetizing my social media, I'm just kind of staying relevant. I'm just now shooting whatever I want to without focusing on who am I trying to attract, what kind of people, and it's really working. I mean, I have a humble 7,000 followers, but it's very organic, zero
Mhm.
paid. You know what I mean? And that's how it really happens. You just start growing and growing. And then one day, once I get these developments done and I have even more, I guess, of a resume, maybe I'll start a developer course or maybe I'll start a course. I don't really love the courses just because it's so overdone. But I know that one day this following that I'm slowly building can be monetized. I just don't know how yet. So right now,
Yeah.
social media for me is just staying relevant, doing it because I know that in the long term, something will come out of it.
100%. I agree with you. I mean, whenever I talk to someone about marketing, and that's just what I do, I say, if you're going to invest in this, invest in it for a year. And if you can do one flip from it, if you can get one partnership from it, would that make it worth it?
Mhm,
Cool. Then just think of that as a cost of the partnership. That's your mastermind payment, whatever it is. But if
mhm,
you don't do that, then you're like, you won't be relevant. No one will
right,
know what you're doing. So,
right. It's the virtual resume these days. It
yeah.
really is. Some people use it for good, some people use it for evil. That's the other thing I caution, like, just because it's pretty on Instagram doesn't mean that's what's going on. You know what I mean? They're just snapshots of our life, but it doesn't encompass everything. So make sure you're not just, oh, this dude's got 100,000 followers and the blue check mark, because now you can pay for those, right? I mean, I pay for mine.
Mhm.
But just make sure you're doing your due diligence past the social media. But as a person doing social media, do social media. You have to, because
Yeah.
if you're looking someone up and they've got two posts, you're probably going to go with someone that's got a little bit more pizzazz. It's just kind of like your business page. It's not even social media anymore. It's more like business marketing.
Yep. 100%. I agree.
Yeah.
Last question for reals this time
Yeah, you're good, baby. I could do this all day.
is what is your predictions for real estate for 2024?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Were you bullish?
I'm bullish. I'm bullish. I think in the next 12 to 24 months, we're going to see a lot of opportunity. That doesn't mean the market's going to go absolutely bonkers and, appreciate 100%. I think people in our position that have now been in the game 4 or 5 years, that understand the game, that it's all a cycle, our opportunities coming. There's a lot of money parked on the sidelines. There's a
Mhm.
lot of, here's what I think. If interest rates come down, which I foresee them coming down a little bit because elections come in and, all these other factors, inflation's getting lower. The moment interest rates drop, we are going to see a boom in appreciation because of all this money parked in the sideline. I know there's money parked in the sideline because, for example, my mentor just put an offer into a 28 unit for 350K over asking. It sold for 550,000 over asking. So
Wow.
there are still people. Hedge funds are no longer in the market right now. The moment those rates drop, they're coming back. So right
Mhm.
now it's the opportunity for you and I, and for anybody wanting to get into the game, to buy,
Yep.
because the competition is very, very low right now. The moment these rates go down, which I could see them go down a little bit, late next year, eh, we're going to see a skyrocket in prices. It's going to be a
Yeah.
huge boom. And so I'm very bullish on real estate 2024 and beyond. It's the only thing that I see that truly keeps up past inflation. I mean, people are saying, like, 70s you could buy a house for 25 grand and groceries were $20. Well, groceries are now $300 and those houses are almost a million freaking bucks. You know what I mean? So, like,
Mhm.
real estate keeps up with the inflation and then plus. So I'm super bullish. Buy as much as you can within reason. Don't over leverage yourself. But my prediction is that we're still going to be in a little bit of pain over the next 6 to 8 months. The moment elections come, I could see it kind of start trending down. But I think in 2025, we're going to start hitting those fives again, and life's going to be gravy for guys like you and I who have assets today.
And I feel the exact same way about you do for next year. So it's starting to look a little bit harder. The deals will start trickling in, and pretty soon everyone will come back in, and then I'll get harder again. So
Right. What kind of debt are you using, man?
for like right now,
Yeah, for everything. I mean, are you for I guess no, not for everything. For your holds, like for your long-term debt right now, what are you trying to, like, what kind of product are you after?
yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, just because we've had California jobs and decent credit and decent DTI, and we've utilized a lot of conventional stuff.
Okay,
Acquisition wise, I mean, we've done private money, done hard money.
sure.
We've done one actually that the Hildreth project is on a DSCR refi.
Gotcha.
Um,
I would suggest to
yeah.
look into interest only.
Okay.
It's a DSCR product, but it's
Mhm.
interest only. So you're not paying any zero. You're paying
Mhm.
zero principal, but it's only because of the market conditions, because of the rates that we're getting. Right? I
Yeah.
think you told me Hildreth, you're like at 1900, man. Even if you could reduce that by 100, and I could get you a tenant in there for 1800, like even a break even, that's cool, because
Yeah.
you know what I mean. And then the moment rates drop, boom. That way you can make deals that you are negative cash flowing at least break even or even make a little bit of cash flow. So deals that didn't work kind of work. That's
Yeah.
what that interest only is doing for, my mentor, people that I'm seeing, and
Interesting.
apparently hedge funds, that's all they do. They don't give a crap about paying down their mortgage like you and I, knowing that that's one of the benefits of real estate. They're literally after cash flow. So if you're trying to just go and build that cash flow, interest only loans might be for you.
Okay. I will give that another look. Yeah, I mean, I know that obviously there's gonna be a boom of appreciation in the next few years,
Then
and
you
so
could
if
just
you can get
refi.
into a deal now and
Yeah.
not be negative so much cash,
Right. Right.
so
So
why
yeah,
not?
definitely something to look into, man.
That's fun. Well, I appreciate the time today for jumping on the show. Where can
Absolutely.
people find you?
Yeah, man. You can find me at don.esteban.ceron. That is for Instagram. I believe that's for TikTok. And then on Facebook, it's just Esteban Ceron. I don't really have a website, but I mean, social media is the websites these days, right? So, and then if you want to learn more about the development stuff, horaceandraw.com. Or no, I think it's horaceandraw.xyz. I think we have both. So either horaceandraw.com or horaceandraw.xyz. A lot of our development stuff is on there. That's what I'm really excited about now. I think that's the next step in my career is putting together this, full development, not just one house, but like hundreds of units from A to Z. So, follow us on there. But me personally, don.esteban.ceron.
Sweet, man. Well, I will leave those all linked down below. But Esteban, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for jumping on.
All right, thanks, brother.